Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to go there. That we're talking
Mhm.
all about, the future of the parks and the expansion and the changing. And Disney recently released several patents and with some interesting descriptions. And not really knowing, where it's going to take us as far as the futures of the park, if this is going to mean anything at all. I mean, I was still waiting on that awesome swinging pendulum
Yeah,
Spider-Man
me
attraction
too.
that never happened. But hey, you never know. Disney may surprise us. So, starting with the first one we have here, the ability to automatically reset physical digital effects on attraction ride vehicles between rides. And I thought that was kind of interesting because essentially that Disney has full control on changing any perception of the ride whatsoever at any given time with just a click of a button or a click of a switch. Um,
Well,
oh,
well,
you're
and
going
this
to
is
say something?
perfect. This is perfect. I mean, this is exactly like we've talked a lot about how like they wanted black box attractions that they can easily
Mhm.
swap out IP or whatever, right? This is perfect for Disney in a sense where like if they can actually automatically reset physical and digital effects, what they can do is they could actually take like the MCU, for example, is a really fast moving franchise. I mean,
Mhm.
they can alter these show scenes fairly fast. Whatever movie is new at the time, the multiverse or this or that or She-Hulk, they can alter these show scenes based on the new thing. You know, it's a game changer in a lot of ways. It can be a game changer. I mean, we'll see if it ever happens. We see these patents all the time, and we never see anything from them sometimes. But that could be a big deal, a huge deal, actually.
Well, it's interesting, the subject of transforming ride vehicles is actually kind of an industry kind of trend right now. Obviously, we see the probably the most famous example of this, which is like kind of like the turducken that we see with Rise of Resistance, right, where it becomes kind of a simulator attraction at
Mhm.
the very tail end of that ride, and then a drop tower attraction, right? So, we're seeing takes on this. This is quite interesting because I've always kind of thought with when it comes to ride vehicles, it's like Indiana Jones, for example, right? You have this harrowing adventure. And you get back into the station, and your ride vehicle looks the same. It's like, well, wait a minute. We just went up through all these kind of crazy things. Shouldn't that be reflected? Well, this patent actually outlines a system by which that can actually happen. Now, Indiana Jones is kind of unique in that where you disembark is actually where you load, so that would be kind of a complication, right? But think about Millennium Falcon, where we go on this harrowing adventure and we have some effects around us that reflect maybe how well we did on the attraction, right? Where stuff is sparking, we hear announcements and so forth. But what if we could actually see physical changes when it comes to Smuggler's Run? What if we could see, like, I don't know, we get out in the hallway that we usually pass by to actually get out of the attraction. Maybe it's got like a hole in it or something, right?
Mhm.
Something where it's like, whoa, now we've actually seen physical damage. Well, this patent actually allows for that, in the instance of ride vehicles, and it has it, for an example, at like a car that has like its mirrors and lights popping out on springs and stuff like that. I think this could be really, really cool technology, and we've seen its implementation, in little bits and so forth throughout the industry. But to actually have it being patented by Disney, this sounds really, really cool.
What do you think, Mr. Wizard?
I really like it, and I don't know about you guys. Every time I look at this car, I just think it looks like a Roger Rabbit taxi, and so I keep envisioning this on Roger Rabbit. I think it would be fantastic on a Like imagine, like, because like taxi is just animated in general. So to
Hmm.
see the car going through these all physical transformations, it would be super cool. Like, doesn't that look like the Roger Rabbit taxi with the mirrors coming out? I just love it. I hope it goes to that ride if it goes anywhere.
No, it actually looks like the car I used to drive when I was 16.
Well, I mean, and you could even apply to like stuff like I don't know, a Radiator Springs Racers, right? Where how we get like a paint job on the car, but we don't actually see that reflected. What if we did? What if we did actually see white wall tires and not just an effect that we see maybe for 2 seconds as part of those show scenes? This creates some very, very interesting possibilities, and I kind of want to see how far they'll actually extend this out. Not just on the attractions that we can envision as part of our set of attractions that we live with today, but for future attractions going forward.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, as far as like even like with the projection type of technology that they put on the castles or that they have within the rides, but actually incorporate that on the ride vehicles themselves. And I even think that there was a patent that Disney did a while back. Correct me if I'm wrong. It had something to do like with like the emotion like within each ride vehicle, that whatever the person wanted to have that experience, that's how the ride vehicle would react to that,
Right.
like that choice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that kind of ride technology, or that kind of that type of scenario where you have guests choose, actually goes back to before even Star Tours was a thing, when they were actually Imagineering concepts for a Star Wars ride. They had one that was like it was like a Star Wars roller coaster, and you had like a light side and a dark side, and people could actually choose which versions that they actually wanted to go on as the roller coaster was moving along its ride course. So it's those are they're classic ideas, and now we're finally getting the technology to actually embark on those kind of things. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome, and it's cool because you can adapt this technology to, like you said, like you guys said, like even like existing attractions,
Right.
Radiator Springs Racers, Indiana Jones Adventure, especially Indiana Jones Adventure. I think that would be a ride that this would really be. I mean, that this technology would really be really to put to good use. To have your vehicle actually get damaged along the way, I think would be awesome. And you can even do it like, at Walt Disney World with the dinosaur attraction, things like that, like your headlight pops out and things. I mean, it would just be such a game changer. I think there's so much potential.
I think there really is. I think there really is. And I had this, I had this great concept here. So there's kind of this point in Indiana Jones Adventure where, you just leave the big room, and you're kind of going through these turns in the dark, and then your vehicle stops for a second, and then it kind of gets going again, and it goes forward, right? What if you had a scene where it's dark like you kind of expect, but then you turn the lights and it's the spike room, and the spikes are kind of coming down, and as you're trying to get out, the wheels pop, so to speak. And now you're kind of going on flat tires, and it kind of makes for a harrowing adventure, especially when you get to the boulder sequence. And it's like, can we accelerate? I don't know. Our tires are kind of popped, so it kind of adds this kind of whole thing. But you could do it where maybe the vehicle is misshapen, or that kind of battle damage, so to speak, is reflected when you look at the vehicle back in the station. I think it would be really, really cool.
I like that.
What I would love to see, like as part of a sequence, like with Indiana Jones, and I know that they probably would have to do their own way of doing it, especially because with the Donkey Kong roller coaster that they're going to do for Super Nintendo. But I would love to see something that incorporated, like how they did in the Temple of Doom with the mine carts on the track. Like I would love to see something of that with Indiana Jones.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't want to see a one where the boulder actually hits you. Like hits you, and then your car like gets crushed. That would be really dope. Like imagine actually like falls on you and you didn't make it out in time. So many times you make it out alive. What if you didn't make it out alive?
It's an interesting idea. I don't know if we can quite do the death, but what we could do, Disney did have this technology, like this vacuum form technology, where they could take like a panel that you thought was of one material, but like vacuum it right instantaneously to create like a deformation in the panel. This was actually supposed to be an effect that we saw on the Baby Buggy simulator attraction, where it's kind of like actually I think that was the Toontown bus or whatever, one of those. But you're kind of in like a Star Tours type simulator, right? And the gag is Roger goes to clamber onto your vehicle, and his shape is deformed into the top of the vehicle, like he was trying to get in but couldn't, hit the side, and now his shape is up there, right? We could use that kind of technology, but on Indiana Jones, where maybe at the back or the front, maybe you get partially hit by the boulder, and now we see that. This kind of pattern would allow for that.
Well, and also too with what Marty McFly was mentioning about Smuggler's Run, I think with Smuggler's Run, I really think that they should incorporate some new type of technology to kind of change the notion of not just looking at the forefront, like out of the screen, because you have so much to do on the side of the ship that you constantly have to watch what you're pressing, but you can't actually enjoy why you're actually pressing those buttons. So it'd be kind of cool if they can incorporate like a portal type of whole, like sort of how they do on the ship, where you, like, if you're a gunner, you could actually have a direct target from the side of the ship, where you have your own personal blaster with buttons. So at least each person can get a different perception of the ride based on what your job is, rather than just go press a button, look front, go press a button, look front. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, they should have done something definitely different with the technology with that.
Now, with all the Smuggler's Run talk, can we at least get those new sequences we've been promised? I mean, I feel like they can't do any of the stuff you're going to talk about until they at least do that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a complete relaunch of the land, right? Maybe around a theme or timeline that's a little bit more amenable to some of the other characters that we've seen, especially like Disney Plus characters that are super hot properties right now. Can we see more integration as part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but also have that be reflected in the missions that we experience on Hondo, right? So, yeah, exactly. Who doesn't like pressing buttons? Hey, people love pressing buttons-ish. Those panels, by the way, should have not been on the sides. Maybe they should have had like a panel like that was right in front of you, so that way your eye line is always in line of sight of the screen, and that way it can be a little bit more interactive in that way. Could have done it. Didn't do it. Unfortunate. But yeah, I would like to see new missions, obviously, but as part of a relaunch for the land. That way, it's kind of all encompassing in that way.
Exactly, because my friend, when you guys were on, I was telling you my friend that went on there. She was the first time in Star Wars Land. She walked out, and we walked out. The first thing she said was, "Where's Darth Vader?" And I said, "Oh, he doesn't belong here. He's by Space Mountain." Goes, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay." Yeah, sorry, no Darth Vader in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's like Darth Vader doesn't belong in an official Star Wars land. He belongs in Tomorrowland over by Space Mountain.
It's wild. It's crazy that it even comes out of your mouth, but that's the scenario that we're living in right now.
It's absolutely bonkers, dude. It's absolutely bonkers, and I really don't know. I
exactly. Right?
It's a trap.
Yep.
I really don't. I really honestly don't understand it, though. I mean, that whole thing with Galaxy's Edge really frustrates me, because it's like they're sitting on a freaking like gold mine, and they're like, nah. Like, you got this guy. I've said it so many times on the channel. This guy right here.
Preach it.
The photo pass money. The photo pass money for a meet and greet with Grogu would be through the freaking roof. You want, hey, Disney, you want to scare Universal? Photo pass.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to do with Galaxy's Edge. I thought that was the whole point, that they were beckoning the call from Wizarding World. And it's like, okay, Disney is like really on top of their game. Universal has Harry Potter. We're going to have Star Wars. And it's like, what of Star Wars? What did we get? It's like you cracked open the egg and we have just the shell. Where's the yolk? Where's the yummy goodness?
I hear a lot of people complaining here, but
perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
Do you feel that you're being treated unfairly when it comes to Galaxy's Edge? I mean, come on, guys. No. I personally agree with you. It's interesting because we know what we were kind of supposed to have when it came to Galaxy's Edge, right? A lot of the promises that were kind of unfulfilled, unfortunately. Oh, look, if you damage the Millennium Falcon, a bounty hunter's going to come after you. That never happened, unfortunately. But it's kind of doubly sad because right now, Knott's Berry Farm, the park right across the way from Disneyland, right, in Buena Park, right? It's having its Ghost Town Alive, series right now, where you have a bunch of actors who are kind of living through this kind of story throughout the day with these kind of twists and turns. They have like a couple of kind of courthouse sequences that everybody kind of gets involved with. It's really, really cool, but it really does make it feel like this living, breathing thing that Ghost Town kind of is with this kind of experience. That
$1 billion.
Yeah, and you have this $1 billion land, and it's like all these great imaginative things. and it's dead. dead as a doornail. And it's like, why is it like this? Knott's Berry Farm can do something like this, and it's so interactive, and it's so, you have so many of these actors, you have so many of these things creating this story that kind of plays out in front of you, and yet we get nothing like that at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Even after they did it with Legends of Frontierland, it makes no sense whatsoever, and it's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating because it's such an easy win. Oh my God. It's such an easy win. And they're just like so against it. I don't understand it. It's so like, it's right there. Like, come on.
I mean, even in Avengers Campus, you at least have some rooftop stunt shows going on. I want to see some lightsaber, some shoot fights all on the rooftops of Galaxy's Edge. I feel like it'd be very easy to do.
Yeah.
No, actually, speaking that we were talking about Smuggler's Run, where everyone kind of gets involved in with the attraction. We have the second patent that reveals a new ride system for Disney theme parks. Movement is based on collaborative guest steering, which means everyone kind of has to work together.
Oh my gosh!
Depending on, I guess, which direction you would like the ride to go through. That is very interesting. Especially, I'm curious to know how they would do that. That if you're a single rider, or maybe there's just a few of you and you're in with another family, that you all kind of have to kind of agree upon what your adventure would want to be after waiting in probably like a 5-hour wait, for the attraction.
Well, and that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing. One of the things I love about out here in California, DCA, one of my favorite attractions is the Grizzly River Run. And one of the reasons I love that attraction so much is because even if you're in a raft with a bunch of strangers, you kind of bond with your raft mates. You're all in this together, right? To kind of quote High School Musical, you're all in this together. And that's kind of cool. That adds to the fun of that attraction. And I think something like this new patent where you have to kind of work together to sort of steer the vehicle could be very, very cool. Now, with a caveat, it could be a total shit show. It could be like the canoes at Disneyland where you have the kid behind you going the wrong direction. And, it could go a million different ways. But for the most part, I think it's a pretty cool concept.
Well, I'm just going to say this right now, and I'm probably going to get canceled, but I'm going to go balls to the wall, and I'm just going to say it anyway. If I'm waiting in line 2 to 3 hours for an attraction, and I'm in an attraction, and some whiny little shit wants to go down one way, and I want to go down another way because I want to have an experience. I'm sorry, they're getting the NCIS DiNozzo backs upside the head, and I'm going the way that I want to go.
Right.
Yeah, see, because Grizzly River Run, you're with. I love it too.
And you know who that little shit would be? More so, it'd probably be my son. He'd do it on purpose to me.
That's funny.
With Grizzly River Run, you get the cool friendships. I mean, I made some cool friends on there, but you're not controlling anything. It's just going along its path. Imagine a whole bunch of people trying to go, I want to go this way, this way, this way. Oh, that'd be terrible. Terrible. Someone's going to get off so frustrated. I can see it right now. I don't see any, unless you're on with your entire family or group of friends, you still might get into a fight. But if you're on with some strangers, someone's going to be like, and then there's a little kid, the mom or parent says, oh, come on, that's mean. You're not going to let my little child go this way.
I'd be like, damn right.
And then, the there's me cursing. There's me so many bad things happening with that thing. I cannot see one positive solution.
But I do agree with OG in the sense of with Grizzly River Run, because that was, I believe that was one of my attractions that I felt that was underrated. That, I feel that, Grizzly River doesn't get a whole lot of love. And it is one of those rides where, you do kind of meet people, because of the excitement, because you're all, so that aspect I do like, but I am hesitant on having to work together depending on what your experience is going to be, because you kind of already got that with Smuggler's Run. If you have two, and no offense to people who have young kids, I have a young son, hashtag pain in the ass. I get it, but it's like, if you have kids that are steering the Millennium Falcon, they may not necessarily be the best pilots in the galaxy, and it kind of can hinder your experience. So
Well, I think that's why.
That's my thing. Unless they use a different kind of technology of how you can react with one another on the attraction.
Well, I think that's why, at least with like Smuggler's Run, right? It's 6 people. That can be kind of hard to coordinate, especially when you have a Walt Disney World populace where you can have international visitors who might not speak English. That could be some disastrous complications right there, which is why when you look at this patent, it's only 4 people, right? In order to minimize those things from actually happening. And hopefully there are overrides and, maybe a majority of people kind of get to it the way they want, overriding the other person.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, Dre. I'm so sorry, Marty. I totally misread you. I thought you said Grizzly River gives you the craps. I'm so sorry that I had to take like a double take on that.
What's your bromine ingestion, right? But yeah, to your point, right? Grizzly River Run. Everybody's kind of having a good time because nobody, there's no stakes. We're all kind of going on this kind of, adventure together, right? But when you give people control of that adventure, then it becomes quite interesting. It's very interesting because this kind of group control here, this isn't like a new thing. It's actually kind of old, right? I think the best example is kind of Teacups going back to 55, right, where everybody kind of has to spin the wheel. This was later resurrected, actually, in 2012 with the Cars Land redo, right? Or I'm sorry, the Cars Land opening DCA redo. You remember that before Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, we got Luigi's Flying Tires, right? And when that attraction was actually going in, there was going to be a joint steering system in place. One person was actually going to control the kind of direction. The other person was going to control the spin. But it became kind of so complicated for those two parties to actually, orientate their stuff together, on the fly. They actually took that system out before it debuted. And unfortunately, because when they did that, it was very hard to control, especially for 2 people, and that kind of killed the ride from that point on, because it was always supposed to have this kind of steering system in place. That way, that ride wouldn't be weight limited and all those kind of things. Now with this, I see now 4 people in the mix. I just wonder how this is all going to work going forward with this, if it didn't work with 2 people before.
Well, this seems a bit far-fetched, but when I first looked at the rendering of this type of concept, what it kind of reminded of me, and again, this is probably going to be very far-fetched, but it kind of gave me the instance of like if they were to do a domestic Beauty and the Beast rendition where everyone is in one giant teacup, so to speak, and you kind of pick and choose which direction you would like to go within the castle, and you would have different scenes depending on which corridor you would choose or what have you. That's what essentially came to my mind, because you would then have an attraction that was based off of what they are doing in Tokyo, but not necessarily an exact replica.
I think the reason why you see that is because this is definitely modeled off of the kind of free roaming Wi-Fi controlled ride vehicle that attraction like Beauty and the Beast actually utilizes. Not too dissimilar from Mermaid's Ratatouille or from Rise of Resistance, right? It all kind of uses the same thing, but here, like you said, George, it's giving you kind of control. And honestly, I think this is one of the best reasons to have a ride vehicle like this, is to have these kind of divulging paths where you can kind of choose where you go based on, in this case, they use like a points-based system, collect this, and then go here, right? But I think you're right, George. I think if you were to have a divulging path system where the guests actually control it, that actually creates for some really fun either game opportunities or adventure opportunities. So it's going to be interesting to see how they implement this if they end up doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and a ride like Midway Mania, they can kind of almost like reimagine that attraction to kind of implement this technology where not only are you having to sort of pay attention to the screen, so to speak, and hit targets, but you have to work with your group to sort of navigate through the whole area. Something like that would be kind of cool. Like there's a lot of potential here with this technology. They can incorporate it for new attractions. They can incorporate it for older attractions. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think it's pretty neat.
Now,
well, I was going to actually ask you, Theme Park Wizard, if you didn't mind answering a question, but I want you to get your point off too. So go ahead and say what you're going to say, and then come back to me.
I was going to say, I think I read somewhere, I think it was online or something, that I don't know who it was, a fan or some, person, but they mentioned that those interactive ride type they except with shooting, but they didn't feel like they wanted to do like I don't know homework or like think while on the ride. They just want to like enjoy it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I feel like if everyone has to make a decision and be like, no, no, do this or do this, or you have to do this, I feel like it becomes too much. I don't know. I feel like like it's homework. Like you're at work, you're at school, you're thinking. You don't want to think like on Splash Mountain. You just go ahead and you look at all the pretty little animals. And you just go, you drop. Even Smuggler's Run, you still have to kind of do some homework and be like, oh, let me press the button. Some people don't want to press the buttons and they just want to watch along and ride along. And even I've seen people on Smugglers Run actually just not pressing the buttons because I don't think they understood the point. Because when they pressed the button, I don't think anything was happening. But either way, so they just wanted to see what's going on, especially because you were facing the wall and you could see the screen. So I don't know. I feel like if you had too many interactive things like that, and unless it's a shooting thing, people may not like it because they may not do too much work.
That's true. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah. You definitely do have passive riders and active riders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people really like that active or competitive play, right? And they want to kind of get involved. But it was, Smuggler's Run kind of interesting because I think in conjunction with, maybe the setup of that ride, it was kind of the first time that we saw, maybe interactive rides can be done maybe incorrectly and not have full participation and people, maybe looking for this experience, at this experience, expecting a more passive element to it, not getting that, that could lead to some, guest satisfaction that's a little bit lower than maybe where it should be, right? Mm-hmm. So there's definitely kind of two genres or two different demographics of guests, and how Disney's going to go about this is very, very interesting. But there's another park that I think you're familiar with, Theme Park Wizard, that's embarking into this. And if you were to take these riders right here, and right now they're kind of in a circular pattern along a center, right? If you were to take these 4 riders and put them in kind of a slot car configuration and face them forward, I mean, I don't know about you, but didn't this kind of sound like maybe Universal's idea, what they originally had in mind for Super Nintendo World, the Mario Kart attraction? Does this sound like that to you?
It sounds similar, but good old Mario Kart. See, I can tell you what I thought Mario Kart was going to be, and I was actually what I was hoping for it to be, because I was hoping 2 people were going to be racing. For some reason, I never thought it was going to be fast. I see a lot of people thought it was going to be really fast, which I totally understand. But I thought it was going to be 2 people racing, right? And then instead of playing against Bowser, I thought you were going to play against yourself or other people. So like you can like shoot like these coins or these boxes in front of you, and then a little banana comes and then the other car like kind of stalls next to you and you kind of race your passenger. I was really hoping that's what it was going to be.
So basically what you're saying is it would have been an enjoyment to ruin somebody else's experience on the ride.
Yeah, blue shells.
It's literally like the game comes to life. You have little question blocks and then little banana comes out and then the other car, because then they get all competitive and see, and then you're still working together, but you're still on the same path, but you just want to defeat the other person. And then I feel like it would be a real group adventure to have more fun to try to get the other people.
Yeah. And you can actually see physical things happen for people who are actually in those kind of gunner positions, so to speak, right? I think it would be really cool. It's just they didn't go that route. And I think they had to go AR. I get it. I understand. But, to have like this slow-moving, almost dark ride experience with an AR element on top of it, I don't know if it was the best choice.